Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
How often do you take a vacation from work?
For like more than a day?
Yeah, like a whole week off.
Oh,
do you do that?
Not since my honeymoon. Twice a year. Well, once a year in the summer, I'll take 2 days off. And I'll have a 4-day weekend. And go up north, gaming, no internet. My cell phone barely works. But it's great. I'm just up there with a bunch of friends. We game. We watch a very little amount of TV. And we might watch a couple of TV shows in a series or something. But usually it's like we like gaming. We any kind of game we can play.
Even like Who Comes Last during the circle jerk?
No, not that. Like, that'd be gross. My dad's up there.
Oh, well, just don't make eye contact.
A couple
or
of guys
sit
that
next to
are
him.
much older than I am, so no.
Oh.
Otherwise, no. I think I'll take a day off here or there, maybe 2 days off here and there. But I haven't taken a solid week off of work, and I was actually thinking of doing it this 4th of July, but I might only take half the week off.
Now, neither one of our jobs, I feel, are the type of job where if you take a week off or 2 weeks off, you come back, and there's a bunch of backlog of work.
Not really, no. We're really short-handed right now, so that's why I'm kind of hesitating July 4th. But yeah, any other given time, I take a week off, I come back, it's like, what'd I miss? Nothing. All right.
But there are a lot of jobs, like, say, social workers, for instance. They get burned out from dealing with so many clients and their big caseloads. And obviously, they've got vacation time that's use it or lose it. So they go away for a week or two, and they come back. Well, the problem is that all that work they didn't do while they were gone didn't get done by somebody else.
It's still there.
It's still there. So all of that, quote, relaxation time that you spent away from work, instantly gone. All of that release of stress, if you can even calm down thinking about all the shit that you're going to have to do when you get back, or the stress of going out of town with your kids and dealing with all of that bullshit, that you're just like, I'm ready to go back to work.
That sounds like Mrs. Number One's fan job. If she leaves, there's no one else there that can do her job. She does all the billing.
Right.
So, yeah, if she takes 2 days off and doesn't bring her laptop home so she can do a little bit of work from home, she's just, well, when I get back, I got to do this, I'm 2 days behind, and she's a mess.
So it sounds like a lot more jobs in the corporate or business world. You're on your own for what you do. There's very little team think, it seems, especially what she does, because nobody's cross-trained to help do her job. They don't really cover each other's asses when there's vacation season.
Her supervisor can a little bit, but, I mean, he's got his own duties still that he needs to perform, and, well, he's the boss, so.
Well, that's the thing, though, as working in corrections, when the bosses go on vacation, there are administrative tasks that need to be completed, can only be done by them. And when they're gone, shit's not getting done, and the gears start to grind a little, and things screech to a halt. There's less stress because the boss is around, but less actually gets done of the tasks that they approve for us to perform afterwards. Approving documents, court orders, things of that nature. Well, so what I was thinking about is somebody who goes to work and it's an office setting and they're gone for a week. And they come back and now they're playing catch up. Mm-hmm. So you've wasted all that relaxation and come back to twice the stress. So it doesn't make sense for us to have a culture where we take 1-2 weeks off at a time when we could take a day or 2 off more often.
I would say the 1 day, 2 day off more often does make more sense. It's kind of how I prefer to do it. I mean, it's not like I miss work when I'm not there.
Right.
But it just, when I come back, even though there's not a big pile up of work for me to do, I just feel kind of lost and out of it, like I've been out of the loop.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I spend a lot of time with my coworkers, obviously. I'm with them 8 hours a day, and I only see my family maybe 6 hours a day while they're awake. And so it's kind of like my coworkers become my social network. And not talking to them for a week, it just feels kind of odd. When you return, it's just like, so what'd I miss?
So it's that deeply ingrained workaholic mentality that's a part of our culture, whereas you see in other countries, specifically in Northern Europe, the Scandinavian countries, they put a bigger emphasis on paid maternity and paternity leave. Longer vacations, you have to take a holiday. They don't work like we work. They make people get away so that their mental health is much stronger by not being constantly bombarded with timelines and stress for getting shit done. And, well, who's going to take care of this while I'm away?
Would you say that that's the kind of mentality that made America succeed and advance so far so quick?
Well,
when these other countries are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old, and we are what? 200 and what are we? How old is this country? 240 years old?
1776. Math.
Yeah, not great at it. Yeah, we're like 240 years old. 242 years old, I think.
242 years old.
Oh, fucking right. I pulled that right out of my ass.
So, yes, but no. Because after World War II, when the rest of the world was in shambles, there was a boom in America, hence the baby boomers.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because they were trying to repopulate the country.
Well, not necessarily just the population exploding, but prosperity, jobs, things for people to do. The American dream was attainable then. And because of that constant drive, and we had the military-industrial complex that kept cranking out all this money to keep the military going. So other countries that were involved in the war because they were landlocked and adjacent to Germany, Russia, battle zones, like France and the UK, or parts of Germany. They got bombed into almost desolation.
We were isolated, and so we weren't subject to the kinds of attacks that most of the other side of the globe was. So that could have helped us in many ways, but
we didn't have to rebuild. We just went on with our lives and decided to go at it twice as hard now because the war is over. It's relief. People are coming home. They're happy to be here. They're dedicating themselves to family and career and pushing twice as hard. So things here are going up, and across seas things are going up at a much slower pace as they rebuild and try to reconstruct society, pun intended. Mm-hmm. So yes, in that regard, but it almost seems like we grew too fast and we're too far ahead of ourselves.
Maybe.
Well, for all of the progression that went on industrially, socially, how long did it take for, women to get their just due in the workplace and the civil rights movement to give equal rights to the blacks?
You talking about after World War II or from the time that...
Well, that's when all that shit happened, is after World War II.
Yeah, but from that period of time or when the first slaves arrived here? I mean,
there was
the time.
Literal reconstruction after the Civil War.
Okay, well, I would say if you want to put it at World War II, yeah, it was anywhere from 20 to 30 years before any of that stuff got done.
So now, I don't know why there's such a vast chasm between the working cultures of over there and here, but I'm willing to bet there's far less extreme mental illness over there like there is here.
I guess the only way to know would be to go online and look it up and hope you get a reliable website.
I'm just calling it from what I see.
Well, here it looks like it's all hunky-dory, but I mean, what's their media doing over there? What are they suppressing?
Nobody.
What are they promoting?
Nobody has the gun violence than we do and the violent crime like we do over there. Even close. Now, South America, yeah. It's a dogfight constantly with a bunch of shitty third world countries with drugs and gangs and people killing each other. Constantly.
Venezuela became a socialist country and they went to shit.
So I'm saying in terms of back to the point of work culture, does it really make sense to go away for a week? Does it really make sense to get away for 2 weeks when we have the kind of working society that is dependent upon a constant turn of the crank?
I think a week could be beneficial, 1 week per year per employee, as long as supervisors and fellow employees get delegated the work that employee was supposed to do. Like, I don't know why a social worker couldn't handle 2 or 3 extra cases from another social worker that's on a week-long break. I mean, I'm not familiar with how busy those jobs are and everything that it entails. It's government work, so there's a lot of red tape and shit. But I can't imagine it would be too hard for, say, 6 other social workers to take up a total of 3 each for a total of 18 to be spread out amongst them for a week. I mean, you know, I don't think it would be too difficult to do that. But if they're going to take a week off, there has to be something in place for that employee to come back and not be screwed over.
So this is the first thing that comes up when I Google search average number of vacation days by country. By law, every country in the European Union has at least 4 work weeks of paid vacation. Austria, which guarantees workers the most time off, has a legal minimum of 22 paid vacation days and 13 paid holidays each year. The average private sector U.S. worker receives 16 paid vacation days and holidays.
Well, and a lot of what it is in the U.S. here depends on how long you're there, longevity. 16 days, I had that for my vacation time my 3rd year working at the first traffic control job. By the time I was in my 4th year, I had 4 weeks every year to take off. And I had 6 sick days that if I didn't use them, I got a check.
Here's France. In fact, it's the law in France that full-time workers are guaranteed 5 weeks paid vacation and guaranteeing those long, lazy days in the sun and leisurely lunches in outdoor cafes. On top of that, there are another dozen public holidays and a maximum 35-hour work week with no paid overtime allowed. So they encourage people to get their jobs done more efficiently and have less time at work. That's France. We can scroll down, and they have Canada.
Hey, fuck you, buddy!
Vacation days in Canada. In addition to getting 10 paid vacation days, Canadians also receive 9 paid holidays for a total of 19 paid days off per year. Canada is unique in that provincial law governs annual paid leave, unless the employee falls under federal jurisdiction. Average vacation days by country. vpcalendar.net. Australia, 20. Austria, 22. Belgium, 20. Canada, 10. Denmark, 25. Finland, 25. France, 30. Germany, 24. Greece, Ireland, Italy is on there twice for some reason. So Greece, Ireland, and Italy have 20. Japan, 10, but we know how they function. Netherlands, 20. New Zealand, 20. Norway, 25. Are you seeing a pattern of Northern Europe?
Northern Europe requires a lot of time off. And I wouldn't say that they're as productive. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the statistics of everything.
These are the people that brought us IKEA. Sweden, 25 days.
Hate IKEA.
Spain and Portugal, 22 days. The UK, 20. US, 0.
You know why? Because they don't put any of their furniture together. That's why they can take more time off.
Touche. I think of how many hours we put in, especially salaried workers. That's a total fuckover right there.
Salary is the worst fucking way to go. My supervisor's salaried and he hates it.
Yeah, because he's got to put in at least his 40, but how often does he get stuck working 9-hour days or 10-hour days?
Okay, I'll be honest, not that often, but still.
Well, he gets no paid overtime.
He gets no paid overtime, though. He's salaried. It's a pretty good salary. But when I look at what his job entails, even if he just puts in his 40-hour work week, there's a lot of stress in his job. I don't envy him at all. I wouldn't want his job. I think a couple of us told him that. He was like, well, you got to get trained up. Maybe you can, I'm going to retire in I think he said 8 or 9 years. He's like, and he was, so I was like, one of you two guys could probably take the reins. And we both looked at him, I was like, no, don't want your job.
That's like my dad when he worked for the state. And it took him forever to finally accept the position in middle management. And he was there for a while. And they wanted him to take another promotion. He said, no. I'm fine running this division. I don't want to do a bunch of different shops together and deal with all the different subcultures of bureaucracy in every shop. Electrical, asbestos removal, all that shit. He didn't want it.
Well, it's like my boss trying to coordinate with the different divisions where I work, I mean, so much shit goes on and it changes in the blink of an eye. Not to mention the front office, all those personnel up there. telling them, you can't do this, we can't do that, we need to do this, this needs to get done right away. Oh, by the way, these people over in this division need this. You know, and he's still trying to get us to do our daily stuff on top of all this extra stuff. Meetings. I can't do it. He's not on the road that often. He's stuck behind his desk.
Yeah. I just think that we need to reevaluate the way that we are working ourselves to death slowly with the stress and the lack of family time. And there's an interesting dynamic between the baby boomers and the millennials. Forget the Gen Xers in between. They're not a part of this conversation because the two largest segments of the working population are the baby boomers and the millennials. And the baby boomers are retiring now, so it's going to be more millennials.
Holy shit!
So you've got the baby boomers that basically their job is their life. That's what defines them. They work and work and work to achieve.
A bunch of them, yeah.
And it's admirable because they have a strong work ethic. And they complain about the millennials not having that same work ethic. But in reality, it's a misunderstanding of the importance of what they value, which is a stronger work-life balance. They will work their 40, but they know, because they've seen how fucking stressed out and people drinking themselves to death, people getting divorces from lack of attention in their marriage, people have kids that grow up hating them because they weren't around because they're too busy working. And the millennial generation is seeing that now that they're professionals in the workplace, I do my 40, I get out, I see my friends, I see my family, I take care of me because I don't live to work, I work to live.
See, and something I'm thinking here as you're telling me this is I don't think it's so much that baby boomers, just like all millennials, because millennials want to do the 40-hour work week. There's a lot of millennials that do the 40-hour work week, and exactly what you do is exactly what you were saying is exactly what we do. You know, as a Gen Xer, that's exactly how we work. I do my 40, I put in a little bit of overtime just to get the extra little thing done or to be helpful, but I don't overdo it. But I think what the baby boomers are seeing are all these millennials that are working 1 or 2 part-time jobs because they just don't want responsibilities. Those are the ones that are giving the rest of millennials a bad name.
Yes.
Because those are the ones that the baby boomers are seeing. You know? I can't believe how many cars are on the road in the middle of the day when I'm out on the road doing my job.
It's fucking sickening.
Yeah, it's like, don't you people have jobs? It's like, okay, well, some people work second shift, some people work third shift. There's a lot of retired people. Some people have, you know, there could be that many people that have their vacation this week.
Or there's that many people that are working while they're in their car.
It could be that too.
Locations.
But at the same time, it's just like, still, I don't think there should be half these many cars on the road.
There shouldn't be.
Especially if you go to a shopping mall, and most of those cars at the shopping mall are there as customers. But I stand firm. I don't think it's that they hate all millennials, that they have a poor work ethic. It's just that handful that gives them bad raps. Like, well, I like working my 20 hours a week at the coffee shop because that's what I like doing. It's like, but how are you going to provide for yourself? You know, that's the same person who, I'm going to work my 20 hours a week because that's all I want to do, but I want you to pay for my health care.
Right.
You know, that's what's giving millennials a bad name. That's like maybe 5% of millennials. Maybe it's a little more, maybe it's a little less. But
I'm getting that from a seminar I attended about the generational gap.
Okay.
And just they're the two biggest segments in the workplace right now. That is factual information.
Really? We're outnumbered?
We are slightly outnumbered by the baby boomers who are retiring, and now you're seeing all the max salary, experienced people that have dedicated themselves to the career and have the knowledge are going away now. And all these fresh young people that aren't spending the extra hours at work getting trained, dedicating themselves to their careers. Yeah, your work-life balance is better, but you don't have the knowledge that somebody that's been here for 19, 20, 25, 30 years has.
Mm-hmm.
And you're coming in and you're getting entry-level pay, and you're dissatisfied because you can't earn the same. So there's no American dream for you because the new American dream is just getting by.
No, the American dream is still there. It's just people don't want to work for it. They want it handed to them.
Well, it's not like it used to be. You can't attain all that. Things are too expensive. And the debt-to-income ratios are greater.
Well, like
you don't have the earning potential that you used to have because as these baby boomers retire, now they're setting the ceiling for pay much lower. They can rein in the spending on the positions or eliminate positions, and instead of paying one person $90,000, they can pay 2 people $35,000, And they can split the responsibilities, not accomplish the job as well, but they're saving all this money. So the company feels like, well, the profits are up.
Gotcha, bitch.
And people get burned out, and then they've got the
can
vacation
happen too,
days
yeah.
that they need to take, but they can't take, because if they take too many of what they have, not enough's getting done, they come back and they're stressed, as I'm tying this into my beginning point. It's just a fucking rat race. And I think examining paid time off and how vacation structure is in the American working environment is just broken.
I agree and I disagree. But I've already made my points, as futile as they are. I have one coworker, and him and another one, they were in a competition to see who's taking the most days off in a year. Mm-hmm. I think the one last year took 64 days off.
Jesus Christ, what's the cap that they can do without getting in trouble?
Well, if they work overtime, they can collect compensation, which is basically extra time off. And they collect it at the same rate as they would overtime, so it would be time and a half. So if they put in 4 hours of overtime, they're getting 6 hours time off instead of being paid money for that.
Gotcha.
So they can do one or the other. I don't do that. I don't need that much time off. My time off bank, it collects and collects and collects to a maximum of, I think it's 220 hours. Maybe it's 240. And then I could do the comp, which I could either do 80 or 180, but it's like I'd rather just get the money when I work overtime.
Right.
So, because even in my bank, I'm like halfway to the max.
I'll enjoy it while it lasts, because more and more companies and government agencies are eliminating compensation and trying to make it so they don't pay overtime anymore like they used to.
No, they're not going to get away with it. Well, depends on the industry. An industry like mine, they can't do that.
Right.
They can't bring in a second shift. It's just impossible. But in some industries, like restaurants and stuff like that, store, it's easy to do that because you just have people work smaller shifts. More people work.
Yeah, you stagger the labor force throughout the day. Well, I know that I'm never going to get to take a week off. I can't do it.
I've still got my fingers crossed for the 4th of July week.
Well, everybody at home, cross your fingers for number one fan Tim for 4th of July week.
Please, please, please.
So he can go play Battlefield 1942 and jerk his dad off.
No, that's August. No, that's not even what I mean. Jesus fucking Christ.
You walked into that one. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan Tim.
And that's the end.